Hey there YouTube, Elite Legionario here, bringing you a 2 vs 2 for Rome 2 Total War, or Total War Rome 2 as they tend to call it these days. And I was joined by the SwedishLandscneckt for this. We were actually in Steam chat when we did this, which is actually amazing in itself, because sometimes when I use Steam chat, I have a friend I talk to sometimes on Steam chat, and he's about 200 kilometers away, and it's real patchy, and Swedes is about 17,500 kilometers away, and it was completely clear and perfect. So I don't know how that works, but it was needless to say, it was a lot of fun. So we have another one after this as well, and he's already put this battle on his channel, so I'll link that and you can catch it from his perspective. So if anything I miss, I'm sure he manages to catch in, so that way you can get both if you want to look at both ends. But anyway, he chose Pontus, which I believe is his favourite faction, which is interesting. Not that it's a bad thing. Pontus is a cool faction, but it isn't as strong as some of the others. And I'm using Athens, which also isn't as strong as some of the others. So this is going to be tricky, because our opponent's using the Seleucids and Rome, which are definitely better factions than what we are using. But it doesn't mean we can't win. It just means it's going to be a bit tougher. So we'll start looking at my army. I have 4 units of these mercenary veteran hoplites. They are a very solid hoplite unit. But you have to remember, hoplites aren't super great as of yet in Rome 2. They're not bad, they're better than they originally were. They do look fantastic, but they're still not, super great. Not just yet. But these units, these mercenary veteran hoplites, are good for one thing, because they've got 95 armour. If you look, they're 95 armour and quite a lot of melee defence. They last a very long time, and that's what I was aiming to achieve. I didn't expect them to beat my opponents, but I wanted them to stall them for a long time. So I have a couple of these mercenary Thracian peltasts. My thinking was to get them behind the enemy infantry, because they've got a 40 missile damage. They don't have a hell heap of shots, 9 shots per minute, but if you've watched peltasts shooting into phalanxes and stuff, and anything behind, they knock them down so quickly, it's phenomenal. So peltasts, they're really good peltasts, and they look very cool as well. I love those little capes they've got. I was hoping to use them effectively. I got several Theros spears, 4 of those. Now they were originally to help cavalry, as I suspected. I wanted to try and get the Roman cav, if there was any, hung up, so I could use my 6 units of Pontus lancers, another one hidden over there, for hammer and anvils, because I don't have a lot of infantry power. So that's what's going on there. So obviously I have 6 units of Pontus lancers, like I said. I have a javelin unit here, which I thought was a slinger unit at the time, and I have 2 slingers here. So that's my army, and what we're doing here is we're moving our cavalry to this side, and I'll explain that in a moment. I'll just outline this next army now. He has, I believe, 4 units of slingers. His ones actually look very cool. I think they look cooler than my ones. Yeah, my ones kind of look lame. Well, not lame. They got the cool hat, but his ones look cooler. Anyway, he's got, I think it's 5 units of very heavily upgraded bronze shield pikemen, which in my opinion are really the only good, really effective infantry that Pontus has. I think Pontus is a bit underpowered, to be honest. He's also got 3 units of these mercenary Celtic warriors, which are a very cool unit and a very helpful unit if you use them properly. Unfortunately though, they don't have the frenzy ability that a lot of the kind of Celtic type units have, which is unfortunate, because that would have come in very handy in this fight. He's also got, I think, let's see, 2 noble blood cav and 3 Pontic royal cav, which is a pretty good mix, really. For me, Athens, this cavalry unit's the only good cavalry unit. Is a good cavalry unit, and he's also got some very good shock cav. His ones are actually better than mine. They've got a better charge, but these noble blood cav would be good just to hold enemy in place. We've got cavalry, a significant cavalry advantage though. So I think that's everyone, all our forces there. Now go on to these guys. So the Seleucid player has Hellenic Cataphract and 2 Agema cavalry, so that's it's a small but very decent cavalry force. He's also got 2 of his silver shield pikemen mixed in there, probably because we put all our cav on their flank. Then he's got 5 more, so it's a total of 7 silver shield pikemen, so he's definitely got a pike advantage over the SwedishLandscneckt. Although the upgrades might even it out, but I would still put my money on the silver shield pikemen being better. They're pretty darn good. They're very elite. They're on par with foot companions. I've done the tests. they've got 4 Syrian archers here, so I think that was all the Seleucid player had. I might just slow down, so I'm still explaining, I'm not taking my time. And the Roman player had, if I remember correctly, he had 7 units of armoured legionnaires and 3 units of the regular Praetorians. Now this is not the Praetorian Guard because they have different armour. These are the regular Praetorians. Not quite as good, but the second best Roman infantry, so definitely infantry wise I'm very outclassed. He's also got 5 units of auxiliary Syrian archers, which are a pretty solid archer unit, and then he's got a legatus for his general. So that is their army, and I'll go back to normal now. So we have a range advantage and we wanted to use that. We are slightly disadvantaged by the terrain, but it's nothing too drastic. The disadvantage we suffer really is that our factions are not as strong overall. And I was a little bit concerned that this Roman infantry would sort of outflank me, so I know I've asked the Snect or Swedes to help me with his mercenary Celtic warriors here on this flank, because I've got my cav up here, and what we were initially thinking to do was try and knock out that Seleucid cav very quickly, but we kind of got the idea here that the Seleucid player is probably going to go with a box. I'm seeing this all the time on Rome Total War at the moment, and I think he's seen it quite a few times as well. So what we were sort of wanting to do was move up. Sweden's going to move up his bronze shields, and we're just going to sort of put him right there and just kind of like steady this Seleucid army, and then we're just going to sling around with all our cav and just try and absolutely mow down the Roman. But it proves difficult to achieve that. So I've only got 2 slings. I'm going to be pretty ineffective against a lot of these archers. But important thing to do is it seems like from my experiences in other videos I've watched, it's much more efficient to have concentrated fire onto one target, particularly with slings, to maximise the damage efficiency of them. So initially, when Swedes was attacking, he was sort of attacking all over the board, but I remembered that detail, and I told him that it would be more worthwhile to attack everywhere with 1 unit. So this unit of heavy Syrian archers here, very cool looking unit, but it's just going to get cut to shreds very quickly. And if we look across here, he's not taking huge casualties. But if you look at just how many guys are going to get dropped down, because he's going to have 4 units concentrating onto this, and he'll lose fewer casualties, and then he'll lose a whole unit, so then he can, it'll give him the missile advantage, because these archers do have more damage. And if you can see, this unit's down to half, and if we look over his guys, his unit's only down by, this one's down by 20, but most of them are down only by about 10 really. So and this unit's completely destroyed, and now he can move on to the next one, and this one's down by 1/3 already, so it's much more efficient to do things that way. I think perhaps I might have been able to actually do this from further back and draw him down the hill a bit more, but that would have required extra micro. So there you go, there's the second one going. He's still got pretty good numbers, although this one's routing, but needless to say, he is definitely winning that missile duel, even though they've got the same numbers and they're both in range. And I might point out that archers actually inflict heavier damage per shot. So he's got about 8 extra damage per shot. So this is why concentrated missile fire is more efficient. So what we're doing here is we're moving our cav right round. Swede's going to scout out around here, and I was going to scout out around here just to see if the Roman or there was anything else hidden. But there actually isn't. But you should always scout if you can. Remember things like line of sight effect in Rome too, which I often forget myself. So I'm guilty of forgetting that one. But the point is, you should look to see if there's anything going to spring up and bite you on the ass, which should be really bad. So the missile fight's gone pretty well into Swede's favour for the most part, although it looks like it might be going against him at the moment. Maybe these pikes were taking some of the shots for him, I'm not really too sure. So he comes down the hill a bit here, and they're pretty close in support of each other. So over here, what we decided to do is kind of pull around, try and take the high ground and come down on top of the Roman army, while I just pin it. I've gone to phalanx here. I kind of forget though that phalanx kind of shortens your formation up, so it's kind of annoying a bit. But these are very good hoplites, but hoplites are still overall not super effective. They're quite good against if you just use them in a box-like formation, as long as you support them with cavalry and missiles. and they'll hold things at bay a long time. They're very good with their bracing and things like that. And I just wanted to hold this Roman army. These armoured legionaries are going to be better, either way you look at it. This is where it gets tricky though. What we wanted to sort of do was get these Praetorians and kind of just get them busy fighting my Theros spears and these Celtic warriors. A fight they would obviously win, but it would allow my cavalry and SwedishLandsknecht's cavalry to just quickly rout these armoured legionnaires. That's what our original thinking was. But unfortunately he creates like a double line, and he's going to put some of his armoured legionnaires and his Praetorians on the back line there, which is going to make this very, very difficult, because I just don't have the infantry power necessary to achieve this. So I get into Phalanx here. He does rush down, but his armoured legionnaires and Praetorians are going to be better, but I'm going to be able to hold this for a very, very long time, which is what hoplites are good for. They're a good stalling force while you do other things with your cav or other infantry. So here, myself and Swedes go into the archers here. They're completely undefended and easily taken out. So over here we decide to charge. Let's get some close-ups. So I get a nice charge there, making sure we use trample. However, if you may note over there are some pikes coming to assist, so we probably won't hang in that forever. But the pikes seem to have like a few issues, like with shuffling and stuff, so we kind of stayed in it longer because we realised we could. So we get rid of those archers pretty good, and the Snecht has come in with his Celtic warriors, and that seems very fast. I don't know why. Just let me slow that down a bit. I don't know, maybe it's just me. It just feels like it's moving faster than normal. Might just be me. So what we end up doing here, and I was kind of like looking back at this, in perspectively, and I was thinking that perhaps we kind of we didn't get decisive with which one of them we're going to knock out, I think. So as a result, it probably doesn't, I think we probably should just completely focused our attention on the Roman. We had to do something about the Seleucid cavalry though, because it's just going to be a problem. But we can't. I should have just kept pushing around and tried knocking out these dudes. I don't know why I didn't do that. Now I've put my pelters here to fire into these guys. Now you watch the numbers they'll lose. And this is from the front, I might add, which is not always the smartest thing to do, but I couldn't really outflank him. Over here, I get a rear charge on these Seleucid silver shields, and I knock about 20 men out of the unit, which was very, very handy, because now when SwedishLandscneckt comes in, this unit's going to be completely out of order. His pikes are holding in pretty well. Actually, they're doing very well. This unit's not got into formation. And I'm going to quickly try and release him from this so he can come and get this other flank, because then we can defeat the Roman. Because as you can see, some of my hoplites are now, they're held very, very well. And they've actually done pretty good. They've taken a good 20, 30, 40 men, up to 40 men out of some of these units, which is very, very good for them. Now we've got this Roman infantry actually encircled here. However, I don't think that counts for a lot, which is surprising because it's encircled and I thought it would fall much sooner than that. So anyway, I got some good hammer and anvils in here, so I was hoping to free up Swede's pikes quickly so he could get them over to help me, so that he can turn and pin them, and they'll be, of course, they're fixed on my hoplites, and then we could just fix them on his bronze shields there. Unfortunately, he broke through here. However, I do have missile units getting flank shots, but that pretty much breaks the side of my army, which is really unfortunate. And over here, we've not had much effect really against them. We've done pretty well. We've halved their numbers over here, but these Praetorians are way, way better than the infantry we tried outflanking with. And this Seleucid cavalry, it just didn't break. Like, we needed to break it quickly, and it just didn't. And that's the thing, the Seleucid cavalry is really, really powerful. There's very few factions that could probably say that they're a match for the Seleucid cavalry. And I was just trying to get charges here, but our own cavalry are kind of blocking each other, so it's not so flash. Because I want to try and get a nice charge in here, because I need to free up, or at least take out some of these Roman infantry. And we do quite a bit of damage to them, but unfortunately I just don't have the infantry anymore. And those Athenian veteran hoplites are very, very useful, which is quite handy. Unfortunately though, quite a good number of these Silver Shield pikemen are going to regroup, and this time they're going to do quite a bit better for some random reason. Over here, he kind of got into the back of SwedishLandsknecht's pikes, which isn't very useful because that means that unit's going to get destroyed. But it is tricky to micro pikes. It's easy to lose track of them. And as you can see, it's going against us now, though. I think we didn't focus completely where we should have. I think, I was kind of doing hammer and anvils everywhere. I should have probably focused completely on getting into the Roman army, because the Swedish Landsknecht could have probably held those silver shields long enough. I thought he would really need the help, because every time I've seen bronze shields go up against silver shields, they just get absolutely wasted. But I guess he did have a lot of upgrades on them, and I sort of think I forgot that he had that many upgrades on him at the time. I probably could have freed him up here too. I was thinking about doing that, so that he could come and help me. But I was all over the place, like do I attack the Romans, do I attack the Seleucids, and it was the wrong choice. Like, as you can see there, I changed my attack pattern there with my general, and it just wasn't the right move. It really, really wasn't. Which was, we should have focused, I think, attention on one of them so we could free up the other, and I think the Roman probably would have been the easier one to break. Well, it just depends. Actually, it might have been. It's hard to say. It's very hard to say, because the Seleucid had, actually, in a lot of ways, it might have been more worth our time going after the Seleucid, because he had nothing guarding his back, whereas the Roman did. So I think we kind of chose wrong, but it's hard to say. And we kind of keep changing our minds as to who we should go for, and I especially me with my cav charging. My cav ended up getting a boatload of kills. I think all of them got I think the lowest one got 75, and the highest one got about 125. All of them got very high kills, but nothing else really got a load of kills. One of my Thracian peltasts got about 75, 80. The Swedish Landsknecht's pikes, I think they did quite well. I can't remember, because unfortunately the only one that the replays have been fixed up quite a bit. They don't corrupt anymore, which is great. All the ones I've done on this patch 1.5, or the 5th patch, I guess you call it, they don't. They play back properly, which is fantastic. It just ended there, so we didn't quite win, but it's only a very Pyrrhic victory for our enemies there. But as I was saying, the patch 1.5, or patch 5 if you want to call it that, it shows you to replay properly, but you can't look at your final stats, which is a bit of a disappointment. But all of us got over 1,000 kills. All 4 players got over 1,000 kills, so everyone really carried his weight in this fight. No one was sort of outclassed. My cavalry got the majority of mine. My cavalry probably got probably 500 of them, I'd say. Probably about 500 of them from my cavalry, so they got more than half. So as you can see, I was constantly looking for charges and recharges there. And my veteran, I was pretty pleased. My veteran pikes, my veteran hoplites, they held for a long time. They're a very solid unit, very, very useful. And it's a bit unfortunate though that that was a smart move by the Roman to kind of create that second line, because you can't just charge your cavalry into that. Otherwise you'll lose too much of your cavalry. I mean, you do a bit of damage on the charge, but trying to withdraw from it would be difficult. We just didn't have we didn't have the strong enough units, I think, overall, and the terrain was ever so slightly against us. But nonetheless, it was a great game, and it was really, really, really fun, and I really enjoyed doing the kind of Steam chat with Swedish Landsknecht while we're doing this, and we have another one to do. He's got this on his channel too. I'll link that in the description. Be sure to check that out, guys. His channel is a great channel, and I'm sure he appreciates views as well. So thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. I certainly did, and another one coming very soon, so I'll see you then.